the more I coach and the more I do what I do, the more I realize that so much of it fits hand in hand. Your relationship with the higher spirit,
Right.
how well you can serve, not even perform, but serve. How well you serve your family, how well you serve your community, how well, if you're a business owner, I have a lot of entrepreneurs that work out
Right.
here. And as an entrepreneur, how well do you serve your employees that are working for you?
Right.
What kind of relationships do you have?
Right.
And just being able to have those conversations. And it's so important.
So I'm Chris with Cherokee Auto Sales, and I'm here with Coach Mike Wilson of the Forge out here off of Watt Road, close to Lenoir City. And we've been talking for a little while, so it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you too.
Yeah, we're here in his facility. This is a beautiful facility. There's a hockey rink. We've got this red AstroTurf. You've got AstroTurf outside you were talking about.
Yeah, we got turf inside. We got turf outside. This is actually, it's called Provision Hockey Academy. This is the building where we're at, and they work with hockey players from ages 5 all the way up to college players, just working on skills, skating, the shooting, the puck handling, stick handling. We got ice here. Got a little ice thing. My boys, actually, my 9-year-old and my 11-year-old, they play here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it's a great way to just introduce kids to the game, but then to be able to scale up from there.
So that's what the NOCO is. I gotcha.
Yeah, so so NOCO was like back when I was in northern Colorado.
Northern Colorado. I got
Yeah. So our website is the Forge TN now. Yeah, it's theforgetn.com. But the email address and stuff like that, we just didn't adjust the email address. So.
Nice.
Yeah. But we got an awesome little facility here. We've been here for about 2 years now. We actually, so Brian, who owns Provision Hockey Academy, he owns this place. And then we just rent space from him. And it's great because we primarily focus on semi-private training. So groups of 6 or less, whether it's our adults or whether it's our athletes. And what we want to do is we want to give them that really personalized experience.
Right.
And then we do the one-on-one training.
Sure.
We have some families that we train too, just the family itself.
Nice.
Like we've got a husband and wife, and then we've got their 2 daughters,
right?
And they all work in one group. They'll actually be in here at 4:00 today.
Oh,
so
rocking.
It's cool.
And I think I actually saw on one of your reviews on your Google Business profile, they actually left you a review on there.
Yeah.
And the husband and wife were talking about they were running. Is that right?
Yeah.
They were talking about making their running game stronger.
Yeah.
Yes, I read that this morning.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. We took that pair, that husband and wife, we took them from 5K up to half marathon.
Oh, wow.
And really
Which is 13?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we gave them the blueprint to get to it. And when they got to it, it was like, yes,
That's awesome. So what's the best running shoe? I got to ask.
Best running shoe? You know what? A lot of the runners that I work with, they love Brooks.
Yeah.
I've
heard that a lot.
Yeah, Brooks is a big one. I personally, when I was in high school, ran with Asics.
Oh, yeah.
And I like Asics.
I think that's what I have.
Yeah. I like Asics. But a lot of your more serious runners, they like Brooks.
Yeah, Brooks.
That's the one they roll with. Yeah.
So your Google Business profile is the Forge.
Yeah.
TN.
Yep.
Yeah. And then your website is theforgetn.com.
Yep.
And then your Facebook is The Forge, Tennessee. And then your Instagram is theforge.tm. And then your TikTok is The Forge TN.
Yeah.
And so you got a LinkedIn. You also have a YouTube channel that you've recently started.
Yeah. And with all that, we try to have it be congruent. It was just with Instagram, they wouldn't let us use the Forge TN. Somebody else was using it, which I don't know how they're using it, but somebody else is using it. So it had to be the Forge.tn.
I gotcha.
But everything else, that's how you can catch us handle-wise.
And then you can go to the website and set up an appointment, or you can call 1-800-305-6652 and actually get him directly. And then the address here is 665 Gladstone Road, Lenoir City, 37771. Where did the name The Forge come from? And when did it start?
Yeah, The Forge, it's a cool story. We actually, one of the strength groups that I used to work with, the guy who heads up the strength group, he was telling a story. He tells it all the time about how he was acquiring a samurai sword, and he was acquiring a samurai sword from Japan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the way it works is there's like 4 families in Japan that are commissioned to build these samurai swords, and some people don't know that, but they are, and the families have been around for thousands of years.
Oh, wow.
And they're main job
Mhm.
has been to build these swords.
High quality.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, to build these swords. So within that, he talked about the process. Well, the situation he had, it was a really interesting and unique situation, was he ordered a samurai sword, and they said, okay, it's probably going to take about a year,
Oh,
for us to
wow.
build and get to you. What happened though to him was that a royal Saudi family ordered like 14 of these swords,
Mm.
and they put this sword order of 14 in front of his one
Oh.
order. And so the amount of time that it took them to build 14 of them,
Mhm.
he had forgotten that he even ordered
Oh,
the sword
wow.
itself.
Yeah.
And so what happened was they call him up. They call him up like a year and a half, 2 years later.
Mhm.
And they're like, hey, your sword's ready.
Mhm.
And
Ah.
yeah, your sword's ready. He's completely
Yeah,
forgot about
yeah.
it. And so what they do is they actually have you come over to
Oh, okay.
Japan to give you the sword
Okay.
itself. And when he was over there, he saw how they were actually building these swords.
Oh, wow.
And so what they do
Mhm.
is these four families, they live up in the mountains,
Mhm.
and from when living up in the mountains, there's these streams that go down the mountains, and so they had these little catchers. They catch the silt that's coming down,
Oh, right.
and so they catch this, and then what they do is they put these silt into the mold forms
Mhm.
for the samurai sword
Mhm.
itself.
Wow.
And then what they do is every day they bring this form out
Mhm.
and they heat it up
Mhm.
and they fold it over on itself.
Oh.
That's why the blade's so strong.
Oh, okay.
And so what they do every day is just heat
Mhm.
and fold,
Mhm.
heat and fold. And so you can't get it too hot or it'll get brittle.
Okay.
And it can't be too cold or you can't fold it over.
Right.
So these swordsmiths, they actually have to find the perfect temperature.
Mm.
Now, these families have been doing it for thousands of years.
Mhm.
And this swordsmith, who is probably maybe in his 40s, 50s, 60s, has watched his father
Right.
and his grandfather
Right.
do it for the 40 years he's been on the earth.
Right.
And so he knows how to do it.
Right.
But at the same time, they have the younger ones that are watching him do it
Mm.
now. And that's all stuff that he observed. And so every day they just bring it out, heat it
Yeah.
and fold it, heat it and fold it. And so when I was thinking about just how we train our athletes here at the Forge, and then also how I've trained athletes for the last 20 years at the college level, what I thought about was, like, what's the best way to train these athletes? It's the same thing with the adults. What's the best way to do it? Is it to bring them in here for a month to 6 weeks and turn and burn them, or
Build
with these
endurance.
families? Yeah, with these families that we talk to, giving them a vision of a bigger picture,
Mhm.
where we're working with them for a year, 2 years,
Mhm.
3 years, depending on where they're at. I mean,
Right.
if we have a kid that's 8 years old starting to work with us, realistically, he's going to be in our system for 10 years,
Mhm.
and we're going to be working with him for 10
Right.
years.
To the end of high
Um,
school.
yeah, yeah. I mean, one of our biggest success stories right now is a young man. His name's Owen Heyman, and we worked with him for 2 days a week
Mhm.
for the last 2 years, and he went from being this mid-level hockey player on a lower division team, and after 2 years, he's playing for the Nashville Junior Predators now on their Tier 1 program.
Wow.
At his age level, and it's been great because
Yeah.
hey, it was just heat and fold the
Right.
whole time, heat and
Yeah.
fold, heat and fold. Hey, how are you getting better with your speed? How are you
Mhm.
getting better with your explosiveness?
Right.
Are we taking care of your hips?
Mhm.
Are we helping you build rotational power? Like, what are those little things that we're doing within every workout?
Right.
And when you think about it, it's a workout over 100 weeks.
Yeah.
And
So
to
you're
get
doing
him
an
where he needs to
hour
be.
twice a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So most of our athletes, that's a great question, because everybody asks that question right there. How much time do I have to invest into this?
Right.
Or how many times do I have to bring my kid here, to get the results
Sure.
that we're looking for? And a big thing that we're talking about right now is 2 times a week.
Okay.
And if we can get either an adult or an athlete to come in twice a week,
Mhm.
they're going to get the results
Sure.
that they need. Most of our adults that we work with 45 to 50 minutes, and we
Mm.
focus on quality work.
Right.
And we tell them all the time, hey, if you got 2 hours that you can spend, you can come over here and you can get some work done. Okay, we're going to help you out both in the gym,
Mhm.
but then we're also going to help you out with nutrition.
Right.
We're going to talk about, hey, what's your lifestyle look like right
Right.
now? and just remodeling some of that stuff so that they can get to where they need to be as an
Taking some
adult.
stuff out and adding some stuff. And
Yeah. And then with athletes, knowing that they're going through growth spurts, being able to make sure that patterning wise, they're moving correctly.
Right.
I mean, the number one thing, whether it's adults or athletes, is how well do you move?
Right.
And we can do everything gauged off of how well you move.
Right.
Okay. You're going to get faster based off of how well you move.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get stronger based off of how well you move. You're going to get more explosive based off of how well you move. And based off of how well you move, is going to determine your propensity for injury.
Right.
Yeah.
And flexibility of ligaments and tendons as well.
Yeah. And when we talk about being bulletproof, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Is like, hey, and another story from Owen was with Owen when he was at one of the hockey tournaments that he was at. Him and his buddies were just fooling around in the hotel, and he racked his ankle.
Right.
He racked his ankle. We work a ton on foot ankle strength, and he was back within 4 days. He was back within 4 days, and one of the reasons he was back within 4 days was because we'd been working foot and ankle strength the whole time.
So he recovered that quick.
Yeah. So it plays a big part of recovery.
For sure.
Yeah.
Especially as you get older too.
Yeah. But the story behind the Forge itself is that we just we're not focusing on a quick fix with our athletes and our adults.
Right.
We're saying, hey, if you can come in here and you can invest, 3 to 6 months, year, if you can start looking at the big picture, great. Like, we're a good fit for you. If you want this done in 6 weeks, might not be the fit for you.
Do you recommend doing stuff outside of here as well?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I'm glad you asked that. So everybody that we work with, what we do is we actually give them at-home programs to work with.
Yeah.
Whether it's body weight or whether they have like a weight setup at home. We do that. We talk about what are your habits. Okay. How well are you sleeping right now?
Right.
How much water are you drinking?
Yep.
A big thing for us is, are you eating breakfast in the morning?
Right.
And a lot of times people think that breakfast has to be bacon and eggs.
Sure.
I say, if you don't like breakfast, eat a protein bar.
Right.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
And then
that protein in the morning though.
Yeah. And then our final element is that activity that you're doing when you're not with us.
Right.
And it's like, are you getting 10,000 steps in a day?
Yeah.
When you're working out with us, okay, is it intense enough for you? Okay. When you're at, if you're working out doing something else, are you pushing yourself a little bit? And just being able to do that, and those things are important for us, and it just gets them where they need to be.
Helps them focus. Helps them understand what's important.
But we keep it simple. Like, that's the one thing, is that we keep it simple. The stuff I just mentioned, it seems like I'm talking about a lot right now, but I tell especially our adults, it's like, this is really simple. And you know what? And we're actually doing a video series right now where we're talking about, okay, what's the story that you came in with?
Right.
Oh,
cool.
And how do we change that story? And how do we change that story? Because everybody has a story.
Right.
Like our one dad, Joey, he was talking about, accepting that he had a dad bod. It's like, you don't have to accept it.
No, of course not. Yeah.
And that doesn't have to be your story.
Yeah. Right.
The young lady that we worked with this morning, we helped her get through her. She did a PT test for the Secret Service. She came in here and she could do 2 push-ups.
Oh, wow.
She needed 14 to pass the test.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in 6 weeks, we got her up to 19.
Oh, wow.
So just stuff like that. But the story she was telling herself was that she was never going to have good upper body strength.
Yeah.
And now she's got pretty good upper body strength.
Of course.
Yeah.
19's good.
Yeah. And we're talking about that next level with her.
Oh, we're going to talk about your kids and your girlfriend, Lana, how you met, your first date, and where.
Yeah. So I was, I've been divorced. Been divorced for a couple of years, and I've got 4 kids total.
Right.
I've got a 19-year-old. She just turned 19, and she's traveling the world right now.
Oh, nice.
So
where is she?
Right now she's in the Philippines.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and she's Philippines, Thailand. She's kind of Southeast Asia right now.
Right.
And she's smart, and she can live inexpensively. She goes to all the little hostels and stuff like that. So she does that. My 13-year-old, she's in theater.
Right.
And it's cool. She's had a couple lead roles. And then my 2 boys are 11 and 9. And they're both athletes. They're actually getting ready for their football season coming up. And they just got done with their baseball season, and they made like all-stars and everything like that. So our season as parents was extended like 6 weeks past what we thought it was going to be.
Right.
So it's been a busy summer.
Sure.
But their mom, I get along well with their mom.
Awesome.
We have a good relationship. And we just want what's best for the kids.
That's it.
So
that's important.
It's one of those things where it just didn't work out, but we want what's best for the kids. So we're doing that. Now I met Lana a couple years ago. And we've been dating. We've been dating for almost a year now.
Oh yeah.
And and it's been good. I met her at a one of my friends was having a housewarming party.
Right.
And
was it here in Knoxville?
Yeah, it was here in Knoxville. Yeah. What's funny is the big story was she moved here to Knoxville right about the same time that I moved
Where
here.
did she move here from?
She was up in Montana.
Oh, wow.
And she kind of traveled around and then came down here. But she did that, and then we moved here we were in northern Colorado, and we moved during COVID. We moved here, and we had a gym set up out there, and the whole COVID thing happened. We were unsure about what was going to happen there, so we just burned it all down and moved everything and came here. And
brought your skills with you.
Yep, brought our skills with us, and this business here, the Forge, the gym business itself, I built 4 times.
Oh wow!
So this is our 4th iteration.
Wow.
Of this business.
Yeah.
So
very strong.
Yep. You learn a little bit more.
So you're in the house. You're in the housewarming party.
Yeah.
You're about at 60 seconds before you see her.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? And then
you
see her. And then, and then,
well, here's
she saw you, or how did it?
Yeah. Here's the funny thing is that at the housewarming party itself, we met, we talked, we found out that we were both divorced. Right. And that piqued my interest just because it was somebody that understands, the struggles that I was going
100%.
through. And we talked, and it was funny because we talked and everything was fine, and then the next day, the next couple of days, my friends were talking to me about it that were there at the party, and they're like, hey, what's going on between you two?
Chemistry.
Hey, what's going on between you two? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, we were just talking.
Yeah.
We were just talking. And they're like, no, there's something going on. And I'm like, okay, so they saw something, which was really funny. And then they saw something that was really funny. And then we actually ended up going to dinner. And we went to dinner, and we were just hanging out, getting to know one another. And there was a lot that we had in common, and there was a lot more that was attracting me to her.
Right.
So it was cool. And then from there, we just kept seeing each other and stuff. It's really funny though, this past weekend at church, one of my buddies, husband and wife, and they know both of us, and the husband is like, oh yeah, he's talking about us dating, and he's like, my wife actually thought you guys were already married. So it was really funny. He thought you were already married.
Where do you go to church?
I go to church at Transformation.
Okay,
up here in Cedar Bluff.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and it's been a pivotal experience for me. Coming back to my relationship with God the Father, having a relationship with Jesus has been, and it's been something that I was away from for a couple of years, and through the divorce and everything like that.
Right.
Just came back in when I went to Transformation. They just had the vibe that I was looking for.
For sure.
The vibe that I was looking for.
For sure.
The head pastor there, Jamie Goldenberg, he's awesome. He's a dad, and he has kids that are similar in not similar age, but his kids are now I think they're 21, 19, and 17. Just like my kids are 13, 11, and 9 now.
Right.
So
where is the church? Physically, where is it?
Yeah, so it's over in Cedar Bluff, Executive Park Drive is that area.
Gotcha.
Where the post office is.
I know exactly where
the post office is. It's right there, a huge building there. I'm an usher there, so we have some big services that are there, and probably about between 300 and 400 people that come to the services.
They just do one service.
They do 2 services.
Okay. What time?
They do a 9 a.m. service and a 10:45 service.
And it's more of a conservative. Or they have 2 different services?
Yeah, no, they're both the same service.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both the same service. I like it personally because it's conservative, it's biblically based.
Okay.
That's a big part of it. But the one thing is that we always talk about relationship with the Holy Spirit.
Sure.
Relationship with God.
Right.
And not so much religion.
Right.
And I like it too, because like we just talk about, hey, you're not part of a religion. You're working on your personal relationship.
Sure. Right.
You're working on your personal relationship
Right.
with, God the Father.
Sure.
And I like that, because to me that's what matters. And I think that's where sometimes people may get it wrong, is that they get so tied into what their religion is that they can't separate that. A lot of people like yourself, like me, are looking for a relationship with a higher spirit.
Right.
And the people that you're trying to bring to God, they're just looking for a relationship right now.
That's it.
Immersed in whatever your religion,
Yeah,
whatever the order of
Sure.
your services and stuff like
Sure.
that. They're
100%.
not necessarily interested in that. They want a relationship.
Sure.
And that's
people want to believe in something too.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's what matters, and it's cool because it fits hand in hand with what we're doing here at the Forge. And what's okay, so we might scare some people off here. It's okay.
I doubt it.
I'm very flexible with what we do, but we do talk about God here.
Good.
In the gym setting.
Yeah.
We do. I've prayed with some of my adult members. We talk about what's going on. Like I've done a 21-day fast. I did 21-day fast in January of 23, in July of 23, and then in January of 24 again. And I told my my adult members, and I also told my athletes about it too. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm just doing this 21-day fast, and it's cool because I have the relationship with both our athletes and our adults to where my athletes were like, well, how's that fast going? What's that fast? What's it like? And me personally, I'm like, well, you're an athlete right now. So I don't necessarily tell you, I'm not really saying you should go on a fast, but it's something that piques their interest at least and gets them more interested in what I'm doing and my spiritual walk.
Right.
And I think, and that's the most important. The more I coach and the more I do what I do, the more I realize that so much of it fits hand in hand. Your relationship with the higher spirit and how well you can perform as an adult for your family.
Right.
How well you can serve, not even perform, but serve. How well you serve your family, how well you serve your community, how well, if you're a business owner, I have a lot of entrepreneurs that work out here. And as an entrepreneur, how well do you serve your employees that are working for you? What kind of relationships do you have?
Right.
And just being able to have those conversations. And it's so important, in my opinion, so important to what we're doing as a business. And then being able to, with what we do, thinking about the next step with what we do is we have relationships with like Tennessee Children's Home, with Fostering Hope Tennessee,
right.
a lot of organizations,
really
a lot of organizations that serve those
underserved.
Those underserved. We serve those underserved populations.
Right.
Foster kids, kids that have to deal with unthinkable things.
Right.
That I was blessed as a kid. Like I had great parents.
You don't get to choose your parents. I say that all the time to people.
Yeah. And to think about, hey, what we can do is we can help those kids and make it a little bit easier for them. I'm actually in talks right now with a nonprofit who they serve women and kids who have had the unfortunate circumstances of having abusive fathers and abusive husbands, and helping them transition out of that relationship into a more independent relationship that they can have for their kids, for the mom and for the kids too.
Sure.
And so we're working on that right now with a nonprofit, and pretty excited once we iron out all the details to be able to announce that. And especially since we work with super moms,
right.
We work with super moms, we work with athletes, and it's like what better way to take what we're doing and help more people than to be part of a nonprofit that serves that.
So we're going to put links in the bottom of the YouTube channel to the associations that he was just talking about serving. So we'll add those to the bottom. I think that's important. I've not ever thought about doing that. I'd like to learn more about that.
Yeah.
I want to circle back real quick to the 21-day fast.
Yeah.
So I used to be a nurse.
Yeah.
And when I was in nursing school, they taught us that the human body, or mammals probably just, they eat carbohydrates first, then they eat fat, and then they eat protein.
Yep.
So besides water for 21 days, what are you doing to make sure that your body has what it needs to survive? So it's not eat your muscle and stuff.
So it's funny. Yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned that part, because what I did is the 21-day fast I've done in a couple of different phases.
Yeah.
The first time I did it like a Daniel fast, where it was like a vegan diet. You know,
Okay.
so I had vegan diet.
Sure.
My go-to at the time was rice.
Yeah.
I'd usually go rice, guacamole, black beans, and I would do that. So I stayed away from meat, stayed
Right.
away from sugar,
Sure.
stayed away from dairy.
Sure.
You know, and so I
So
did
do you
that.
limit your consumption, or what are you doing there each day?
Yeah.
Are you eating just a
I
really
think you're
small
trying
amount
to-
of calories? Like
Yeah.
you're needing to get your essential amino acids.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, just trying to get the essential vitamins, minerals that you need. And so I was just, I would eat little, and when you start to eat that stuff, you don't eat a ton of it because
Sure.
it's not like meat, you know,
very
it's
filling,
not
yeah.
delicious,
Sure.
you know, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, it's not delicious to where I want more and more and more of it. It's just like, hey, okay, rice, guacamole, black beans
Sure.
again,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, you get to day 17, 18,
Yeah.
you're like, ooh, I'm ready for this to be over because it's again, that's
Yeah,
what it is.
right.
So I did that the first time, and what I did was I did that the first time. The second time I did it, I actually took taste out of it,
Oh wow.
and I
So you just
deprived
had-
myself. I did a vegan diet, but I deprived myself of taste.
Yeah.
So if you
So
can
no
think about
salt.
the things that have no taste, yeah,
Yeah,
you think about
yeah,
the things
yeah.
that have no taste.
Yeah.
It's rice.
Black beans have
you
no
know,
taste if
yeah.
you don't season them.
Yeah. It's rice. It's
Yeah.
black beans.
Yeah.
It's not the guacamole anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Right.
And it's just and that's I think like towards like because I just get in a groove. I get in the habit with food, and it's like let's keep it simple.
Right.
Okay, rice, black beans, and that was mainly what it was. And then my third time I did it was the most interesting one. The third time I did it, I went more like Ramadan, where
Sure.
from dawn
Oh wow.
to dusk,
Right.
no food,
Wow.
no nothing.
No water even.
Just water. It was
Oh, you
well,
can
it was
have
water.
water. Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
water.
Yeah.
But then like I'd have water and bone broth.
Right.
And that's what I would have, you know. And then when
So during the day, from
Yep.
sun up to sundown,
Yep.
you'd have water and bone broth.
yep, and that's all I would have. But then before the sun rose,
Right.
and I'm lucky because I get up at 4 a.m.
Sure.
You know, so before the sun rose, I would have like some grain cereal that
Yeah.
didn't have a lot of taste to it.
Oatmeal.
You know,
You,
I ate grape nuts.
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I ate grape nuts,
Yeah.
but oatmeal is another good
Yeah,
one too.
sure.
Yep, and I've had oatmeal a couple times and just ate it like that.
But no
Um,
sugar.
Nope.
No cinnamon.
Nope.
Just oatmeal.
Just take it.
Just
Yeah,
water.
just
and
water and oats. Yeah. Eat it like that. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like you're just sitting there, and so it's not there's no taste to it. You know.
Yeah.
But then when I would get done coaching my kids in the evening. Then I would have, something like rice.
Yeah.
Rice, beans.
It's a countdown to the 20.
And I did it
20
like yeah.
So 21 whole days, and then 22 you
Yeah.
resume normal.
And every day, like I was checking to see what time the sun rose and what time the sun set. And I was most likely checking out when the sun set because I was like, dude, I need some food, And so I did it like that. And then actually I did a mini fast during Holy Week, and I did 4 days of just water.
Oh wow.
Nothing else. 4 days, just water.
Did you go crazy? Did you feel
no
crazy?
matter what time it was. I was definitely like I was drinking a ton of water so I would be with it.
Okay.
And it's just it's that hydration thing.
Yeah.
If you drink enough water, you can still be with it. I don't know if I would ever do a 21 day of just water.
Sure.
Some people may, but I don't know.
So
It's
4
like-
days. Did you
and
ever
I'm
feel
active though,
crazy?
too.
Because your body's going into ketoacidosis there.
Yeah.
And you're producing ketones from burning fat.
Yeah.
And so
well, I could tell you, I didn't feel crazy at any time.
okay, good.
Um,
You don't feel like something was wrong? Like you're looking around the room like, is something wrong?
I just got. Oh, so what I did though,
Yeah.
and I learned this about myself
Yeah.
was what I did was I tried to keep myself busy for the most part.
Right.
Because when you start to get bored,
Yeah.
that's when you start looking for snacks. That's
Sure.
when you start looking for stuff.
Right.
When you get bored,
Yeah.
anytime I have a client who's dealing with snacks,
Right.
it's like, okay, are you hungry?
Yeah.
Or are you bored?
Right.
Are you hungry
Yeah.
or are you bored?
Right.
I'm doing this right now with I'm doing a gut cleanse right now, and I just actually finished it up last weekend. But when I was doing the gut cleanse, I was thinking about the times I went to go to the pantry, and I'm like, I'm bored right now.
Yeah.
I'm bored right now. That's why I'm going.
Drink
to
a
the
big glass
pantry.
of water.
Yeah. Go drink some water.
Yeah.
Do something like that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely one of those things where our habits are so ingrained
Right.
in what we do. When you can separate yourself and you can do it fast, you can identify some of those habits.
Sure.
Now, the other thing that it did too, though, is it allowed me to have my mind clearer
Oh, okay.
so that I could receive the Holy Spirit.
Sure.
And I tell people all the time now, it's not going to be day 1, day 2, day 3. But you get into day 7, day 8, and if you've done it and you've been strict with it, you can start to get some messages that come in,
Wow.
you know, and
Yeah.
it's like, hey, do this, hey, do
Different
this,
place, different time.
you know, yeah, because your mind's just clear,
Right.
you know, and that, I mean that
I've never done it.
overall, that is the point of the fast,
Mhm.
is to clear your mind,
Sure.
clear out all the clutter. Some
Sure.
people do like social media fasts and stuff
Right.
like that.
Yep.
It's to clear that clutter out. From a food thing, it's like the taste of food, the good taste
Yeah.
of food, especially meat,
Sure.
spices, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
It just clouds your thinking,
Mhm.
you know, it clouds your thinking, and you have to be able to pull that away and be like, okay, you know. And I mean, at times it makes me reflect and think about, you know, what is my purpose for eating, you know.
Right.
Sometimes it is to enjoy it, but a
Sure.
lot of times it's just for fuel.
I mean,
so how are you feeling your body, you
Right,
know?
exactly.
And it makes me
And
question that for
and-
myself.
Yeah, and we haven't talked about other countries, but in the United States specifically, we hear about the volume that we
Yeah.
eat is
Yeah.
you know, oftentimes.
Yeah,
I know we'll go out to eat and sometimes we'll get like one meal
yeah.
with a couple of salads and then we'll
Amen. Yep.
you know
Yep.
and on top of it being cheaper, let's talk about a way to lower your entertainment budget if your food's
Mhm.
cheaper when you eat out, you know. So
Well, and that's a tip that I do give to my adults is when they go out to eat,
Yeah.
Whatever they get, cut it in half.
Sure.
Cut it in half, put one half in the box,
Yeah.
and eat the other
that's
half.
smart. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
smart.
you do that. If you do that all the time.
Or just order one meal for both of you.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Just cut it in half and
You
put part of it in
still
the
feel
box.
satisfied.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So talk about how you got into coaching. You mentioned transformational coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got into coaching.
How
It
old
was
were you?
really cool. So my first taste of coaching was when I was 21,
Mhm.
and I had blown out one of my knees.
Oh, wow.
I played college football.
Mhm.
I had blown out one of my knees.
What position?
I was a cornerback, so I
Okay.
played
So you
defensive
were
back.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I was fast, and I had blown out my one knee, and I was off for a semester. I was out of school for a semester, and I helped with my old high school,
Mhm.
and just did it for a season. I really liked it. Got back into college, and I was really considering coaching right after college. I was glad that I didn't, though, because I got out of college and I was in the professional. I was doing professional. I was a salesperson,
Mhm.
and I did sales, in a couple of different ways.
Mhm.
One was like door-to-door
Oh,
sales. Yeah, door-to-door sales, and
Nice
it's a heck
repetition
of a
there.
way. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
heck of a way to do it.
Yeah.
I tell people I was pulling 70 to 100 doors a day on all these businesses.
Golly.
Yeah. And going in and just trying to build
Yeah,
some rapport.
right.
Build rapport in like 2 to
Yeah,
3 minutes,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
and if you don't, you get kicked out, you know.
Wow.
So I was doing that. That was like my first job. It was wild.
Yeah.
Like there's
Sounds like it. Yeah.
the people that were higher up in this business were wild.
Yeah.
They had done things that I was just
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that's insane, you know.
Talk about
So-
forging.
Yeah, exactly. So I did that. Okay, my job right after that was an inside sales position, and it was an inside sales position as an account executive where you actually were building up your account base from scratch.
Right.
And when you build it up from scratch, you're talking 75 to 100 phone calls a day.
Yeah.
So 75 to 100 phone
Sure.
calls a day, trying to build rapport with the 3 or 4 people that actually will answer the phone, you know,
Yeah.
and then leaving 70 voicemails,
Yeah.
you know, so doing that.
Yeah.
And so I did that for the first 3 years when I got out of school. I actually got into my final sales job, and they were doing budget cuts.
Mhm.
And so I got cut out of that, but they gave me a severance. They gave me, and I was able to file for unemployment and all that stuff. So I had money that was good for a couple months. And so I started exploring and getting into college coaching.
Right.
And, you know, it's like one of those things, just God's grace, you know, right place, right time.
Right.
And what I did was I actually got on with a college team. They were looking for somebody who was coaching, who could coach the position that I played.
Right.
Got on with them and worked with them, and they told me that there would be a position available in about a year as a graduate assistant.
Right.
Position actually ended up opening up in like 3 months.
Oh wow! So
And
you were
so I
ready for it.
Yeah.
You were ready
So I
for
became
it.
a graduate
Yeah.
assistant there.
Yeah.
Cool story about that was when I was a graduate assistant there for 2 years, they won. It's North Central College,
Mhm.
which is in Naperville, Illinois, and it's a
Right.
Division III school.
Yeah.
High-powered athletics.
This is Northwest.
Yeah, it's like west suburbs. It's like far west suburbs of
Oh,
Chicago.
I gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. And so I was there, and for 2 years we won the first two conference championships that they had won in like 40 years. And then fast forward in the last 4 years, they've won two national
Oh,
championships
wow.
with a lot of the same
Sure.
coaches that were
Concepts,
there when
yeah.
I was there.
Uh-huh.
So it's cool to think that I helped build that front end
100%.
of
Yeah.
that and get it to there.
Results.
Yeah. So I did that. Was there for 2 years, and then from there, I was there for 2 years. I was at two other colleges for the next 10 years, and just did that. But coached at the Division III level, and what I really liked about that was that it was non-scholarship.
Mhm.
You were playing with a lot of the kids who, for them to play well, you couldn't hold a scholarship over their head. So what'd you have to do? You had to build a relationship.
Sure.
With
Rapport.
them. Yeah, you had to build a relationship and
Give them
rapport
good focus
with
and-
them. Yeah, and so building that relationship, building that rapport, had become so much of what I was doing as a salesperson that getting into this was easy.
Yeah.
You know, and then on the other side, where I was a recruiter for the at the colleges, I was recruiting for football. That was easy because I had so many reps of the outside sales. The outside sales correlating to your recruiting fairs, your inside sales, recruiting to the calls to parents and stuff like that. It just became that, and so did that for 12 years. I actually, after 12 years, I was looking just at what was going on with my career personally, and I thought my career had stagnated a little bit, and I just, at the same time, it's like God's grace again. Somebody connected me with a person who was looking, who was in the gym setting, that was looking for somebody to come in and build their sports performance side of their business, and so I left the college setting and went into the privatized setting. And I built that up, and I had help with some other people, and in a year we went from a handful of athletes to 200 athletes.
Oh wow!
Just building that. So
strength.
It was really cool. Yeah. So it was really cool to experience that, and then from there I started doing it on my own, and I've been doing it on my own now for 7 years, and 4 iterations of it.
Yeah.
And just doing that, and so overall, it's been a really cool experience just to build the ups and downs, and you're always learning something.
Yeah.
When you run your own business, you're always trying to figure out, hey, what's the next lever that you have to
Right.
pull?
Yeah.
What
do people want?
Yeah, exactly. So, with what you're asking about transformational coaching, a big thing with transformational coaching is that relationship piece. Where when I am working,
so you're
with
talking
an
about
adult,
holistic,
yeah,
like the whole picture.
Yep.
Gotcha.
When I'm working with an
That's
adult,
smart. Yeah, that's really
working with an adult or working with our athletes. Okay,
Yeah.
it's that whole transformational experience. But it starts with building that relationship. It starts with the first 10-15 minutes of any of our workouts here, where I'm doing it or I'm telling my coaches, hey, you got to figure out where these clients are in the first 10 to 15 minutes on page, and you got to get on the same page with them no matter where they're at.
Right.
And no matter
Much
where
more effective.
And no matter where you want them to be, you have to get to where they're at.
Yep.
So it's doing that and building that rapport fast. One of the things that we do, when we do, so this summer, our speed clinics fundraisers have been huge for us. Okay, we booked 8 of them this summer. So every weekend we're doing speed clinics. One of the things that I do within the speed clinic is I make sure that I can remember all the names within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the warm up.
Yeah.
So I know all the names, all the faces. So that for the rest of the workout, the rest of the speed session, I can actually identify them by name.
Oh, nice.
As I'm critiquing them, as I'm coaching them.
Right.
I tell people all the time, like what we do here is different. We coach with a lot more detail. We're coaching with more relationship. We're not necessarily setting cones down and having kids run around cones.
Right.
It's like, hey, let's look at that deeper movement.
I'm paying attention to what you're saying.
Yeah. Let's make sure that deeper movement is important. But that's that whole transformational process where you've experienced coaches before. I've experienced coaches before that are more transactional. And it's like, you need to do this so that I'm happy. And it's like that that transaction. And most of your
It's
better coaches.
It's important for a coach to have control.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and most of your elite coaches are getting away from that transformational experience, that transactional. Yeah,
right.
they're getting away from that transactional approach,
Right.
and they're getting more into that transformational approach.
Right.
So
I understand.
that's big,
Yeah.
just getting on the same page.
Yeah, I've not heard anybody explain it like that. I like that.
Yeah, because it just matters, like who, and in the end, like if you wanted to think of it, the huge picture of it all is as a coach, when I pass away, okay, who's going to be at my funeral?
Sure.
Yeah. Who's going to be at my funeral? And what are they going to say?
People that cared about you when you were alive are going to be at your funeral.
Yeah.
If they don't care about you when you're alive, they're not going to be at your funeral when you're dead.
And they care about me.
Alex says that all the time.
Yeah, they care about me because they know that I care about them.
Sure, 100%.
And that's what happened first, is that they knew that I cared about them first.
Right.
And so, yeah.
You're right, 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah. So my story is my parents are from southern Wisconsin and western Wisconsin.
Okay.
That's where they grew up at.
Right.
And that's where I was born. And I lived like the first 5 years of my life there.
Oh, cool.
But they moved down to North Carolina when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
And I lived there from age 6 to 17.
Oh.
So that's where I feel like I grew up at.
What city in North Carolina?
So I lived just outside of a little town called Pinehurst, North Carolina. The golf capital of the world used to be there.
Oh, okay.
Years ago.
So where's Pinehurst?
Yeah.
Where's it close to?
It's in it's in like southeastern North Carolina. It's near Fayetteville, where Fort Bragg is. It's about
close to the ocean, kind of, sort of.
Yeah. It's like we're lucky because it's actually almost like right in the middle, to where it's about 2 hours to the ocean and 2 hours to the mountains.
Okay.
So we were lucky because we were right in the middle. But Pinehurst, Southern Pines, the smaller place that I was from was called West End.
Right.
And so we were at West End, and we were there. And yeah, just a little small town. Everybody's talking about like J.D. Vance now. And just that same small experience. That was me growing up. Same small experience. And just coming from a small, humble beginnings, and just being able to. So what happened was I grew up there. My parents wanted to move back to Wisconsin because my grandmother was getting older. And so age 17, moved back to Wisconsin, lived there for 2 years, graduated from high school there, and then went to college at Valparaiso, which is Northwest Indiana. A lot of people know it by Valpo.
Kind of close to Chicago.
Yeah. And I love Chicagoland, and that's and that was one of my biggest attractions. Was like, I wanted to go to a school that was in Chicago, right outside Chicago.
What did you study?
So when I went there, I was thinking I was going to be a criminal justice major, and I thought about getting into FBI work. But after a year of doing that, I got into sports management.
Oh, okay.
And I love sports. I always loved sports.
100%.
And, played 4 sports when I was in high school. Played college football. So I like that, and that's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to get into the business of that. And so did that. Graduated from there in 2001. My college football career only lasted 2 years.
Oh, okay.
I blew out one knee in '99, and I blew out my other knee in 2001. So and it's what's really cool is that, like, one of the reasons that I do what I do is because I blew out both knees. And when I became a college strength coach and went to the seminars, went to the presentations, started looking at like how to prevent the knee injuries, whether it's getting stronger,
so
whether it's
you can
getting
do
more
to prevent
flexible.
that from happening?
Yeah. And I realized within becoming a strength coach, I realized that, and we just didn't have the resources at the time.
Sure.
But if we would have had the resources at the time,
it may not have happened.
Being able to strengthen my hamstrings, being able to strengthen my glutes, being able to know, hey, this is how you place your foot. This is how you do. This is how you move.
Right.
The things that we talk about with our
stretching more.
The things that we talk about with our athletes now are all just like, hey, I can tell you that I didn't do it.
Right.
I didn't do it the way I wanted to. Right. But I didn't have the resource that you have.
Right, exactly.
And so them using me as a resource for that, so just being able to do that. But so I ended up living in Chicagoland for about 20 years after college and everything.
Nice.
Yeah. And then bounced around there, Chicagoland, southern Wisconsin. and then moved out to northern Colorado
Oh, okay.
and lived there for a year and a half right
Yeah.
before COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then we've been down here for 3 years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you were in northern Colorado for a year and a half or so.
About a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
We just got back from visiting Montana and Wyoming.
Yeah.
We went on a week-long trip out there.
That's
so
cool.
That's a beautiful area if you've ever been out there.
Oh yeah, I'd never been out west before. Before we moved out there, I'd never been out west. Never knew that area. You know, and it's like you know when you're driving out there and the Rockies just rise out of the horizon. You know, it's like holy cow.
Yeah.
And then you think about, like, I tell people all the time, when I lived out there, we were on the Front Range, and you could see the Rockies.
Yeah.
You know, but it was just surreal to think about, like, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, these people took these wagons.
Yeah.
And went over those mountains with these wagons, and it's like, what the, you know, you're like, it's like, to me, it's surreal.
The perseverance, right?
Yeah. To think about, like, hey, the technology.
There's people
we have
like shooting
now.
arrows at them as they're going up and down.
We can drive or fly. We can drive or fly over it now, but it's like, dude, people took wagons through there. You know.
We flew into Bozeman.
Yeah.
And then we drove down and then flew back out of Bozeman. And I remember looking at my smartphone at the map, and we were around Dallas.
Yeah.
And then it was a long time, and nothing really happened.
Yeah.
600 miles an hour, you know. It was just like 30 minutes went by, and then an hour, and then an hour and 15, and I'm just like, I feel like we should be there, because we went from Tennessee to Dallas.
I know.
And then when you look on the map, it's like,
that's
got to be like crazy distance, you know, and then we finally saw the mountains coming in, and we landed, and it was beautiful. But I remember that, like, hour and a half of just nothingness. And think about how long that would take you in a car.
I know.
You know.
Well, you think about, like, when we used to drive from southern Wisconsin, when we used to drive out to Colorado, like when we visit family, go back and forth.
Yeah.
Nebraska. Is like an 8-hour drive from tip to tip. Insane. You know, and just like, is this state ever going to stop? You know.
It's even crazier if you're the person like your dad.
Is
driving. You know, everybody else is just kind of chilling.
Well, I recruited. Think about this. I recruited Texas when I was a college football coach. You can't recruit all of Texas with one coach. But like when I was in El Paso, that was one of our spots where we got a lot of good athletes.
Sure.
And so when I shot up into New Mexico, and then when I was coming back through El Paso, from one side is El Paso, and Beaumont is all the way on the other side.
Right.
There's a sign there. It says Beaumont, 832 miles.
Wow.
832 miles. And I'm sitting there
hours,
trying to think. I'm trying to do the math in my head. If I actually did go 65 miles an hour, how long that would actually take. And these truckers, like, all the time have to go, you know, from tip to tip. And it's like, holy cow.
Wouldn't want to do that.
I know.
So people that had an impact on you when you were growing up, would you like to discuss someone?
Yeah. You know what? Actually, one of my, probably my two favorite coaches reminded me of one another. And it's funny because you always associate, or you always buy, because somebody or something reminds you of something, usually from your past.
Sure.
You know. And when I was in high school, my wrestling coach that I had, Coach Nocton, he was actually he was an athletic trainer.
High school wrestling coach.
Yeah.
Coach Nocton.
Yeah. His name is Tim Nocton.
Yeah.
I think he might be retired, but I think he's like a community college professor now. Right. But he was a athletic trainer for football, and that's how I met him, because I played football, you know. Sure. And so he was just taping us up and all that stuff. And then I wrestled for him for 2 years.
Yeah.
And just great personality. It's funny, he's from Indiana, you know, so he's got that kind of Midwestern, you know, and people from the Midwest, they have a way for him, you know, and same thing as people from the South.
So describe what you're talking about when you say from Indiana, he's got a certain, what are you talking about?
Oh, he's like talking, he's talking about cows.
Is he jolly?
He's talking about farms, talking about cows.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
he's referencing the Indiana stuff.
Yeah.
Corn beans.
Stuff like that. Yeah. And then he was a big guy. He was a wrestler, you know, so he's a big guy, you know. And he was our wrestling coach, but just had a great personality. He was a science teacher too, you know, so just the way he
So very
talked to people.
jovial.
Yeah,
And
the way he talked to
yeah, he's a
people.
good
And
listener. It sounds like.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
You know,
He made
and
you feel important.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, he was definitely one of the more impactful. Here, I gotta silence that. He's a more impactful. Um,
You need to answer it. We can cut
I
it out.
know, no. There you go.
It's your bank.
It'll stop. Yeah.
I'm trying to give
I
you
gotta
much
call her
money.
back. Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah. But so he was impactful, and he just as a coach and the coach that I wanted to be, you know, and the way I wanted to build
It was a
relationships.
good example of who you wanted to be.
Yeah, the way I wanted to build relationships with my athletes was similar to that. So he reminded me of that, and it was great. And then when I got recruited to play college football, the guy who recruited me, who is going to be my positions coach, reminded me of him.
Right.
You know, his name's Mark Peterson.
Right.
And he's up in Indiana.
So he recruited you from Chicagoland.
Yeah,
when
from
you were in high school.
when I was in Wisconsin.
Sure.
Yeah, he recruited me, and he reminded me of Coach Nocton.
Right.
But same thing, you know. We called him Coach Pete. You know,
right. Coach Pete.
But just you know, great personality. You know, just joking with players, and you know, and he was fun. But he was, but at the same time,
serious.
He had he had expectations that he had for us.
Sure.
You know. And there was a couple of times I got in trouble with him, you know, and you know, had to pay the price, whatever.
Yeah.
But it, you know, it's one thing where, man, I'll still message him from time to time and just say, hey, you know, I was thinking about you today. Something like made me think about, you know, yeah.
That's nice.
And it's funny though, because I mean, he's got kids now that are like college age kids and stuff like that, like high school, college age kids, you know. But yeah, I just I really respected both of those men, and it just was something that was really
sometimes
really
you know
important.
sometimes if you're gonna love somebody, it's hard.
Yeah.
So we talk about I hear Dave talk about that all the time, where a family member will call and ask for money, and you can give them money. You know? Sure, here's $50 for groceries, but what's the problem? What's the reason that you need to ask for money?
Right.
It's because your personal personal finance is jacked up. You're not running a budget. You're not working enough. There's a so love the person. It's difficult, but it makes me happy to think about, you know, somebody like maybe one of your kids isn't doing the right thing to get to where they want to go or where you want them to be, you know? So it's hard you got to love people. So it's not always pretty.
It's just like building that relationship was so important, you know, and they knew how to do that. You know, and a lot of like the things that I do and talk about now, it's like they were just, you knew who they were. You know, they weren't hiding anything. You knew who they were.
100%.
Yeah.
That's good. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
For sure. Don't put a facade on. Be who you're going to be. Don't lie. When you lie, you have to remember your lie.
I know.
And just do it. Just be who you're going to be, man. I feel that 100%. So what do you do to mentor and have an impact now? And what's your favorite part about your job?
So
what do you look forward to? This is going to happen today.
Wow,
I'm excited.
Yeah. So the mentor, it always starts with the relationship, building a relationship, you know, building a rapport right away. Make sure that they know they care about you, you know, or that you care about them, because they don't care about you, they don't care about what you know until they know that you care, you know. That's the big part of mentorship with me, is that like if my athletes and my adults, if they know that I care about them, you know, then we can go to the moon, you know, if they know I care about them. You know, and it comes in so many different forms, and that's what I'm doing right now. We were talking earlier. I got a couple coaches that we're bringing on, you know, and just
what are their names? Can you tell people about their names?
Yeah, one guy is Cody. He's worked with us. He worked with us in the spring. He'll do a little bit more during the fall, and he used to be an athletic trainer at Maryville College. So he has that movement experience that I'm looking for, you know, and he has that movement experience. He is. He definitely, from working with at the college level, but then also he also worked for the Marines for a while too, and he understands like the wear and tear and everything like that. And he's got a great personality. He's he's happy. He's a little goofy, you know.
Is he
and
good?
It's just like and he's just like people
Goofy's
like
good,
him.
man.
Yeah, people like him. You know, he's got some stuff that like when he talks about liking stuff, I'm like, I see why you like it. I was like, I don't know if I could like it, but I see why you like it.
Was he in the Marines, or you said he worked with the Marines?
He worked with the Marines.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
He worked with the Marines.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But sometimes the Marines, you get somebody from the Marines.
But he does a lot of and then he does now he does a lot of work with veterans, and that's one of his focuses within his business. And so he has a personal training business and brand that he has,
right.
And then he comes and helps me
nice.
as part of the Forge. So he's doing two things, and I'm trying to help him build that up at the same time. He's helping us build our stuff up here too. The other guy then is just he's a young guy who actually got connected with, and he's 20 years old. He has a background in athletics, and he's just hungry.
What's his name?
His name's Tristan.
Tristan, okay.
Yeah, and he's just hungry.
So did he go to school somewhere local? Or?
He went to school. He wrestled in high school.
Okay.
Yep, and he went to school.
So you've got that background, the wrestling.
Yeah. And so he's a professional right now, just a tradesman.
Okay.
And he's just hungry to get into coaching.
Nice.
So it's like, all right, well, and what we do is like when we bring a coach in, like they don't just start coaching our kids right away.
Right.
Like they actually have to come in and be an intern and go through that experience with us. We're actually looking for a female coach right now. So if you guys know anybody,
female coach.
Yeah, we're looking for a female coach right now.
Yeah.
And same thing, we bring them in, we show them the system.
Sure.
And then they're able to, see the system, and then they're able to coach from that system.
1-800-305-6652 if you're looking for a job in your female or male, of course.
Yeah,
specifically.
Yeah. And so we bring them in, we show them, and that's where, after coaching for 20 years, that's kind of like where I'm at with my career right now, is that I'm interested in mentoring others.
Sure.
I'm interested in passing off what I know to the next generation, and having them coach and do that stuff, showing them how we do our speed clinics, showing them how we do the in office stuff, showing them how we call customers, what we talk about, how we do consults and things like that.
It's also a good way to scale.
Yep.
You're limited to, I'm sure you work as an entrepreneur. I mean, you're probably working 100 hours potentially, but with a family, you can scale up with people. People are what scales your business.
Yep.
So
exactly.
And you help them. And so it's a win-win-win situation.
Yeah.
So what motivation gets you up in the morning? Do you have to wake up to an alarm clock? And then are you a coffee drinker?
Yeah. So, you know what? Running a business itself is like a game, and it's like a challenge. I like games. I like challenges. This has definitely been, one of the toughest games, one of the toughest challenges that I've had in 7 years, is building this business. Similar to when I was a college coach,
right?
Building teams,
sure.
Building teams, getting them to championship level. Same thing with business right now. It's just getting this business to a championship level, maintaining what we're doing, and making sure that we offer a unique product.
Right.
Something you can't get anywhere else.
No competition.
When we talk about the semi-private training, that aspect,
sure.
Okay, and training, 6 athletes at one time, or 6 adults at one time, and not doing any more than that,
right?
When we talk about the relationships that we're building with our athletes or with our adults, when we think about those kinds of things, and saying, hey, when we do it here, we do it different, and the places, if there were places that did compete with me, if they had bigger budgets, if they had bigger buildings, if they were doing other things, it's like, okay, that's fine. They can do that.
Right.
But the coaching part, they can't get better than we get it.
That's it.
And they can't pump up their adults and their athletes better than what we can.
Right.
And they can't take that average athlete and turn them into a game changer. And they can't take that mom that doesn't quite feel well about herself and turn her into super mom. They can't do that.
Right.
Yeah. And we're going to hang our hat on that.
Yeah. Neurochemicals right there.
Yep. Exactly.
We all know what hormones are. And so as we get older, the hormone levels change, and turning super mom into super mom has a lot to do with.
Yeah. And what's cool.
Yeah.
And what's cool is, like, we don't do it all here either. Yeah. We have partners that we work with that bring the adults, bring the athletes into whatever their clinical setting is, whatever we feel we need,
right?
And they help them out too, so we don't necessarily do all this on our own, and I would never take credit for doing it all.
You want to mention any affiliates?
We've got a couple that we work with right now. I think, like, We have so what's funny is we have an open house that we're doing on August 3rd.
Okay.
And it's going to be here.
Right.
Yeah, and we're
That's
doing
coming
it.
up in a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
weeks.
It's on a Saturday,
Yeah.
and it's from noon to 3. We're going to be showcasing some of those partners
Okay,
that are going to be
nice.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So not this Saturday, but the next Saturday.
Yep, the next
From
Saturday.
what time?
From noon to 3.
Okay, from 12 to 3. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. And so we're going to be showcasing some of them, So I would tell people come out, and
Sure.
meet some of those people,
100%.
and we can show you how we do everything that we do. And it's also part, we talked earlier with about the Alex Hormozy stuff.
Sure.
And the $1 million offer. Okay, so we have our offer that is what we do, but is also accented by these partners and their services that they have too.
Good,
so you not only have access.
Will Alex
to
be
us.
here Saturday?
No, I wish he was. Yeah, that'd be awesome if he was here. Yeah, that'd be awesome if he was here.
It wouldn't be a problem to get here from Las Vegas, Alex.
Yeah, yeah. So we showcase ourselves, but we also showcase these partners that we have in there too. And it's doing things with mindset. Doing things just biologically, recovery stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of different things, massage, stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah.
That's good. Well, I will definitely put that on my calendar.
Yeah.
And then do you wake up with an alarm clock or do you wake up automatically?
I'm lucky. For most mornings, I wake up automatically. So. I get up at 4 a.m. and I personally, like, my body wakes up about 3:55.
Okay, gotcha.
About 3:55.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yep. And I do that, and I get going for the day.
He's got a birthday coming up next Friday. Do you want to talk about how old you'll be?
I'll be 46 years.
Yeah, 46 years
46
old.
years.
Yep.
And what's funny is one of the things that we're talking about with our older adults, and I actually saw it on a meme. It's like 60 is the new 40.
Oh yeah.
60 is the new 40.
Yeah.
Also, for me turning 46. I tell people all the time, I don't feel any older than 30.
Right.
And we're trying to find those people that, are looking to, you're 60, but we want you to feel 40.
So strong.
Yeah, we want you doing those things. We want you active with your grandchildren. We want you to be able to take care of the tasks.
That's powerful.
Yeah, take care of the tasks around the house,
right.
like the yard work, things like that. If that's what you want to do.
Sure.
And you have so many folks that are like at retirement age, and it's like, well, how active can they be?
That's it.
And making sure that we're getting them active. We're actually doing another thing. We're doing is going into the fall. We're looking at bringing in groups at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock a.m. that are 60 plus.
Okay.
And we call it 55 plus.
Okay.
55 plus groups.
We got 55 plus community.
Yep, exactly. And 55 plus groups.
Wow.
6 at 10 o'clock, 6 at 11 o'clock.
Wow.
Come in, get a great workout. And
you do I noticed on your website you do a free consult.
Yeah.
A 45-minute.
Yeah.
You specifically said 45-minute free consult.
Yeah.
So may not take that long, but yeah.
What we do, and what we've actually gravitated more towards is less of a hey, sit down consult, and more of a hey, come in and work out.
Right.
Get a taste of this for 45 minutes.
That's it. Yeah.
You're gonna know within the first 20 minutes whether this is for you or not.
Yeah. That's it.
And so we just do that, and so we have a lot of people right now that are just coming in, doing a session, and and from there figuring out what is the direction they're going to go.
Yeah, what do they need to do?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to make a reference to a couple of things real quick here. There's a song called Don't Let the Old Man In.
Yeah.
I think that's...
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, not sure the country artist, but it's a good song.
Yeah.
And the second thing is my mom's name's Susan.
Okay.
And Alex, so we're talking about Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
He owns acquisition.com. He's got a podcast called The Game. He puts out a lot of content. We both enjoy his content. We both... listened to or read both of his books so far. He's got another book coming out called $100 million advertising.
There is, yeah. $100 million ads,
Ads,
yeah.
And so Alex, my favorite comment from Alex here lately, and I told my sister about this and I told my mom about this because it is my mom's name, but he says, calm down, Susan. He says, all I'm going to do is ask you to eat some chicken and walk a little bit.
Yeah. And it is, and it is that simple.
It is
that simple. And a lot of times,
it really is.
A lot of times with most adults, they have so many stories in their head and so many experiences they had, both bad and good.
Hard to take that first step.
They just can't. Yeah. They're like paralyzed, and it's like, all right, just do this. Just do this. Trust the process.
Start somewhere.
Yeah, trust the process.
You don't have to get up at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
but just start.
And even and even if somebody, even if they come in and work with us and they don't feel like this is the fit for them, all we do is we just ask them for a review.
Yeah.
You know, just
Right.
review it. You
Right.
know, might not be the right time.
Right.
You know, might not
An
be in the
honest
budget.
review
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
yep. And just do that. You
Yep.
know, you do that, and then we usually send them a free a program and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Send them a free brownie.
Yeah. What the heck?
All right. One more question here.
All right.
So tell me about your spiritual evolution and how it impacts your relationship with church and religion.
Yeah. So my spiritual evolution over the last 2 to 3 years, I've gotten a lot closer with God, a lot closer with the Holy Spirit. Things happen in your lives sometimes, and big things happen in your lives. And my big thing was getting divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me have to reflect on a lot of things that were going on in my life. As I was going through that, I was feeling a nudge
Right.
from something that I didn't think was earthly.
Right.
I was getting clues though from different associates that I had in business,
Right.
and from different personal contacts.
Sure.
I was getting little clues here and there, and so I ended up attending Transformation in 2022 for the
Mhm.
first time. I think it was April of 2022. And just had the vibe, the vibe that I was looking for, like I said earlier. But also, there was just the message itself,
Mhm.
and the part of, hey, let's build a relationship here, and that's what I needed to hear
Mhm.
at that time. It's moved forward to me actually. I've been in the men's group for almost a year now,
Right.
and it's been pivotal
Yeah.
because there's
100%.
so many. Yeah, there's so many men in that group. Shout out to Ironworks group that we meet Friday mornings at 7 o'clock. And it's for anybody, not just people that are in transformation.
Sure.
We have men from like a bunch of different congregations that meet with us. But doing that and then actually having men around me that can mentor me. And I know you asked about mentors earlier, and I haven't had a lot of mentors in my life other than my dad, who raised me. But
shout out to your dad. What's his name?
I know my dad. His name's Bob Wilson.
Bob Wilson.
Yeah. Interesting story there. He's actually not my biological dad.
Right.
But he stepped in when I needed him.
Ah.
And he's the one that I call dad. He's the one that raised me. He's raised me since I was 4. He was joking the other day. He's like, well, I slipped in before you even had a choice. But you
don't have any memories before you're 4-year-old.
No, he came into my life at 4 years old, and he's the guy that raised me.
Sure.
So, but like that, so from a mentoring standpoint, I have these guys that mentor me now that I can ask questions to.
Mm-hmm.
And they've just helped move me forward. They've asked me tough questions.
Right.
I know there's one question you had in there, like what was important. Was it important for giving back? I forget which one it was.
Yes.
Or spirit. It was. So the most important thing. Oh, financially. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Personal finance.
Yeah. What's the most important? What was important lesson with personal finance?
Right.
The most important lesson for me with personal finance is to tithe.
Give back. Yep.
And to tithe, and to honestly tithe.
Yeah.
Take the 10%.
Yep.
And with everything we do, and I tell other people that I now talk to from a business mentorship standpoint, and I say, okay, if you're having issues with money, are you tithing?
Right. Yeah.
And are you, and is it the true 10%? And so what I do is I bring in an invoice. When I bring in an invoice or any kind of money that comes in, I just take 10% off it right away.
Yep.
It's so easy now. I mean, I've got a church app that I can just
hit
the numbers,
you just
send it off.
Yeah,
I did it this morning. Yeah, I did it this morning.
Yeah.
Sent it off, and did that. But that's part of that evolution. It's like somebody did ask me one day. They're like, "Well, how are you tithing?" And it's like, when somebody else is asking you that and you have respect for them, you think about it a little bit different.
Sure.
And then that goes into like my relationship that I currently have, my dating relationship that I have. And we're actually going through like a biblically principled courtship.
Yeah.
And doing that stuff, and everything that you have to do within that, and the things that you can't do, and
exactly,
and just doing that, and just doing it in a clean sense, doing it in a clean and disciplined sense,
Sure.
And I've just seen so much reward with that,
It's good,
clean and disciplined sense. We're on day we're on day 94, I believe,
Oh, okay.
of a 100-day devotional.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a devotional, marriage-based devotional.
sure.
You know, so it was really
Some
cool.
pre-counseling.
And we've been able to like really learn more about one another
Mm-hmm.
in that deep biblical
Sure.
sense.
Right.
You know, rather than I just like you and you like me, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm attracted to you and you're attracted to me physically. It's like how much, you know, because it takes it's such a, and that's what I learned with my last marriage was that like there were so many things that should have been deeper.
Sure.
You know, so many conversations that should have been
Yeah.
deeper and should have been on the same page about a lot of things.
Right.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
It really is.
But just being able to do that, you know, and that's part of the evolution itself. And
so you're going to end right around your birthday.
Yeah. It'll be a birthday gift. It's going to be a birthday gift.
That's a good birthday gift.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was your idea or her idea or both of you.
It just turned, yeah. Well, it was my idea,
Yeah.
and it was cool because through the whole the concept of biblical dating and relationships and everything, it talks about the man leading.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And the man
It really
has to
does,
lead.
yeah. It does,
Yeah. And the man has to lead. You have to be equally yoked, but the man has to lead. You know. And so when I saw that book, I'm like, you know what? I think this is like the next step that
Sure.
we need to take, and doing that, you
Yep.
know. But yeah, just that's been huge for us. And
It also
and me-
talks about being virtuous in there as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. Yeah. And just doing that, and in the end, it's like there's so many things that I know I've done in my life, and I'm sure you have too,
mm-hmm.
where you've been like with the 21-day fast.
Right.
There's some discipline that it takes for
I
that.
cannot imagine.
You know.
Yeah.
Building a business. There's
Yep.
some discipline
Sure.
that it takes for that.
Yep.
If you can be that disciplined for a fast
Yeah.
and for a
For
business,
money, right?
why couldn't you be that disciplined with your partner? You know,
Person
with
you're gonna
somebody
spend the
else
rest of your life
Yeah,
with.
yeah. Why can't you do it for
Sure.
that
Yeah.
person?
Yep.
You know,
Right.
and for everybody else that it affects. Like my
Right.
kids see it, you
Right.
know.
Yep.
And I've got, you know, my 13-year-old who's you know interested in boys.
Of course.
You know, my 11 and 9-year-old who
We're
they're
watching
getting
you to
bombarded.
see where they're going to be in the future.
Yeah, and
So-
they're getting bombarded by whatever stimuli it is from
Right.
any media.
Smartphones. and-
Yeah. They're getting that influence, but then they see dad doing it
Sure.
the opposite way.
Right.
You know, and that's what I want.
Yeah, you want to be a good
Is to
model
have-
for your family for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. First
Have
and
that kind of
foremost.
influence. Yeah.
That's good. That's strong
Yeah.
stuff. Let's see here. I think that's going to be our last question.
Yeah.
So
All right.
it was nice to meet you today.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely.
This is cool.
Thank you as well.
Do you want to promote your business on our podcast? You can give us a call or shoot us a text at 865-687-7100. You can also apply by filling out our Google form in the description box.